This story is named for an old man who winds up being an evil old man, a very greedy old man. His name was Ayash, and Ayash had a wife, and he had a son. And about the time that the son was grown into a young man himself, Ayash decided that he wasn't too satisfied with his situation, so he found himself a younger wife, a second wife, and brought her home and moved his old wife and his son into a tent behind theirs and gave them leftovers and less desirable food from what he and his young wife had. And the curious thing is that his young wife found that she too wasn't satisfied with what she had. He was just an old man, and not everything that she'd hoped for in life. And so she got to thinking about how she might deal with this situation, and she thought that the young son was a kind of a good-looking fellow. So, like the story in the Bible of Potiphar's wife in Egypt, she made a play for him, and he wouldn't go for it. He was a dutiful young son. He wasn't going to betray his father and embarrass his mother and other things. She was furious, as was Potiphar's wife. Woman scorned. So she took a partridge, a live partridge, and held it between her legs, and it scratched her. And then when Ayash returned to the camp, she said, "Look what your son has done." Well, Ayash wasn't just jealous, he was murderously angry. But he didn't show it on the outside. He said to his son, "Tomorrow we'll go out to an island out there that's really good for eggs, and we'll collect eggs." The son, innocent in all of this, went with his father the next day, and they got out to the island. It was a fair distance away, and the young son got out of the canoe and started to collect eggs, and I said, "There's some further over there, go a little further over there." Kept telling his son, "Further." And then when he was clear that he had the advantage, he walked over and got in his canoe and backed out and paddled away, leaving his son stranded on the island. Well, the son was crestfallen. He didn't see that there was some sense to this. He cried, and he didn't starve because there were eggs on the island. And in exploring the island, he eventually got up to the highest point on the island, and here was an eagle's nest. And the eagle might have been an ally of his mother. "Why are you crying?" he said. "My father brought me over here to collect eggs, and then he got in his canoe and paddled off and abandoned me. I can't get to the mainland. I'm stuck here." "Oh." Eagle said, "Well, I can try to carry you. You're pretty big. I'm not sure I can do it." So he picked picked the son up and started to fly with him, realized he was too heavy. So he came back, sat down. "I'm afraid I can't do that for you, my grandson." So the boy went on down, and he was by the shore, and very large, strange fish There is a small fish in James Bay. Its name in English is sculpin. Name in Cree is takiaho. It has horn-like protuberances on its forehead, kind of ugly, and generally used only for dog food. But at any rate, this was a very large takiaho. Why are you crying, my grandson? I think his mother had sent this fish. So he explained to the takiaho what had happened and how the eagle had tried to save him but hadn't been strong enough because of his weight. Well, I said, I can swim to the mainland with you. I can swim right along the surface so you won't drown. There's just one thing that I'm afraid of, and that's lightning. If you hear thunder, you've got to tell me, and I will take you back, or you may have to swim for it. So the boy got on the takiaho. The takiaho said, now, if you want me to go faster, just bang on my horns with a stick. They started off. Distant rumble, thunder. Takiaho said, is that thunder I hear? Oh, no, no, said the boy. I was just clearing my throat. And he started hitting the horns to get the fish to speed up. They were getting pretty close to the shore, finally, the mainland. And there was a severe clap of thunder. So the takiaho said, oh, you didn't tell me the truth. Now I'm in trouble. I'm going to have to put you off, but it's shallow enough so that you can walk to the shore from here. So the boy got off, and about the time he got to shore, there was a boom of thunder and a crack of lightning, and the lightning had struck the takiaho and blown it to smithereens. Lightning might have been sent by his father. So the boy thought, well, now I'm going to have to make my way home. Well, he hadn't gone very far before he came across an old fox woman. Come into my tent, my grandson. I'm going to tell you some obstacles that you're going to see on your way home. So this old fox woman was kind of like a grandmother to him. She was sent by his mother as well. So the fox woman told him, you know, you're going to be going along, you're going to come to a tent, and in this tent are two blind old women with razor-sharp elbows. What they do when they have a visitor is they make the visitor welcome, and then when the visitor gets up to go outside, for whatever reason, they'll hear him, and they'll be sitting either side of the door. They'll stab him to death. The next people you're going to come to, these people live underground in a cave, and in order to know if anybody is coming into their area, they've tied a bunch of shoulder blades, maybe moose, maybe caribou, something like that, maybe human, on a string that goes across the path, and a person comes along and they'll bump into it, and the shoulder blades will rattle, and they'll know somebody's there. Or if they're not paying too close attention, their dog will know somebody is there. The third person you're going to come to, you're going to have to overcome them, but the third person you're going to come to is a man that has a huge diseased leg, poison. And he'll welcome you in and tell you you're welcome to stay there and sleep. And when you go to sleep, he's going to lay his leg over you, and it's going to poison you. It'll kill you. So when you go there, carry a sharpened stick with you that you can poke that leg with, keep it from getting you. So the boy started off, and after traveling some distance, he came to a teepee. He could hear the old women inside. He greeted them, and they invited him to come in, and told him, sit at the back of the tent, the place of honor for guests. They fed him up, and when he was getting ready to go, he took his jacket and he held it out in front of him with that stick. And as the jacket passed between the two old women, they thought it was him. They started to jab, 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 jab. They jabbed each other. They killed each other. Put his jacket on, took his stick, and went on his way. That was the first one. Well, he went some distance again, I don't know how many days, and he saw the string across the path with the shoulder blades on it. So he thought, I'm going to just duck under the shoulder blades. But somehow he managed to touch them, and they started to rattle. Well, the dog heard it. The dog started barking. So this boy climbed down into a hole, like a small hideaway hole, and the dog was coming over and looking at the hole and barking, and the people came out. They said, there's nobody here, you stupid dog. So they killed the dog. Went back in their cave. He came out and went on his way. Another long trip. Came to the tent of the old man that had the poisoned leg. He was welcomed in, fed, invited to stay the night where it was nice and warm from the fire. So he lay down, he pretended to go to sleep. When the old man was pretty sure he was asleep, he started to put his leg down on top of him. The young fella grabbed his sharpened pole and he jabbed the leg really hard. The man cried out because of the pain, but maybe it was even deadly what happened to his leg. The boy got up and went on his way again. He managed to get through all three of the trials to get home. So he went on for a few days, and he began to see familiar things, and pretty soon he came to the campsite, and there were the two teepees, and so of course he went to the behind one where his mother was, and she could tell he was coming. My son is coming, she was singing. And then when she saw him, she was so pleased, and she took him into the tent, and he told her his story, and she said, well, the old man Ayash, he's not been treating me very well, she said. So the young man said, well, I'm going to go and greet my father. And so he went out of the teepee. His mother was pretty worried because she was afraid the father would use some kind of conjuring. But the young man by this time had built up a fair amount of his own power through his successes. So when Ayash saw his son coming, he was astonished, a little afraid, maybe more than a little. But he pretended to be delighted to see him. And he said to his young wife, oh, we're going to put nice young beaver skins down so that my son won't have to walk in his bare feet on stones. The boy just kicked them out of the way. Then the old man said, surprised to see him and wondered how he managed to get off the island and get back home. And at that point, the young man said, you know, I'm going to draw a circle here, and I'm going to take my mother into the circle. Nobody else. And the earth is going to burn, and the water's going to boil. Even James Bay. And old Ayash knew he was up against it then. He started conjuring as hard as he could. But the young fellow's power was too much for him. And so he said to the young man, where can I go to be safe? Never mind the young wife. And the young man said, well, you've got a big container of bear grease there that you've been saving for yourself. Maybe you can get in there. Well, of course, I was boiling oil. At any rate, what happened was, from the burning of the earth and the boiling of the water, it destroyed the world. And the young man turned his mother into a robin and turned himself into a nighthawk, and they flew off and left that world behind. That's the end of the story. Now, there is another ending that Stan Ludet told me about, that his mother told him about. And in that one, he does destroy the world, but he doesn't leave us with nothing. His mother becomes a kind of land that occurs right alongside of rivers, which is very good for humans to use to hunt geese or other things by the river. Turned himself into a kind of tree that is very good for making snowshoes. And that was the end of them. Sort of transforming a selfish and evil world into a more generous, nice kind of land, good snowshoe wood. And I like that, but I didn't use it in telling this because I told it pretty much the way I got it from Canonizer. So there you go.